like to introduce Jasmine Kee, and she works at Organogenesis, another one of our favorites. And I remember Gordon Bell when he started the company, and that's many years ago. But anyway, she's the head of process engineering and responsible for their new and great expansion. It put $60 million into it. It's quite an operation. So I'd like to have her come up and tell a little bit what she's been doing and how she's been doing it.
My name's Jasmine Kee. I'm the manager of the process engineering group at Organogenesis. My main responsibilities are as the lead engineer for our new facility expansion, where we are designing and building what we believe will be the world's largest manufacturing plant dedicated to living cell therapies. My other responsibility is to develop a fully automated process for our flagship product, Appligraph, and this process will be housed in our new facility. Today, I'd just like to share with you our experiences so far in the project, some thought processes that we've been through, and use the new facility expansion as a case study for the industrialization of cell therapies. The breakdown of the talk today is to give a brief corporate overview to show how the company has developed over the past few decades. Hopefully this will set the scene for how the manufacturing has evolved and how it will need to evolve in the future to meet business needs. I'll speak about where we are today, our current manufacturing facility, and then the drivers and the opportunities that we have with our future facility expansion. I'll speak about our automation strategy for the new facility, and then I'll wrap up with a lessons learned, challenges and considerations that we've had to think about along the way. So Organogenesis, pleased to say that we were founded very close to here at MIT in 1985. In 1998, we were the first FDA-approved company for living allogeneic cell-based product, Appligraph, for the treatment of venous leg ulcers. And in 2000, we added an indication of diabetic foot ulcers. In 2004, we launched our full US sales and marketing team, and in 2009, we announced our major headquarter expansion, which includes the new manufacturing facility. In the same year, we also globalized by launching our products in both Switzerland and Saudi Arabia. In 2011, we had an important milestone for us, $100 million revenue and 500 employees. And just last year, our new product, Jintuit, was the first FDA approval of a living cell product in dentistry. Here's a snapshot of the Organogenesis campus today. The main road running through our campus is Dan Road. In the early 90s, we moved into 1/3 of 150, there's no pointer, of 150 Dan Road. And over the years, we've expanded into the whole of the building, and it presents us with our current manufacturing site today. In 2009, we opened our corporate headquarters at 85 Dan Road, and we also relocated our R&D function from 150 to 85. Just last year, we relocated our warehousing facility from what was 20 miles south of the campus to now being right on site. And we've acquired 275 Dan Road, which will be our new 100,000 square foot manufacturing facility. We're very proud at Organogenesis to have an excellent operational manufacturing team, and the previous speaker spoke about making sure that your manual process is very robust, and we believe we have this. It's an 80,000 square foot building, biologics and medical device compliant facility. We've been FDA approved for over 10 years now. We have Class 100 production suites at our core with supporting functions where we make our own collagen, culture cells, produce solutions, media, package our products and ship it. We also have quality control supporting labs, microbiology, chemistry, cell culture, sterility, and histology labs. If we look at how our facility has grown over the years, sales at the early stages were good and increasing, and we hit a point where we started to see significant year-on-year increases in sales. And this led us to take a very aggressive facility expansion strategy. Some of the considerations we needed to take in mind were how much capacity are we going to build compared to the sales forecasts? How can we account for variations in the sales forecast? And what kind of capital investment are we going to put into the infrastructure? The other consideration was we have clean rooms now that are producing product and bringing in revenue, and what can we do to minimize any impact to this manufacturing function whilst we build out new clean room space. The strategy that we adopted was a cookie cutter strategy, a scale out strategy, where we just built the same clean rooms over and over again. This is because it's cost effective, it's quick, there's really minimal process validation, and it's a relatively straightforward regulatory submission. The FDA have seen what we're doing, how we make it, and we're just repeating that in another room. We also were able to use the existing infrastructure, so water systems, steam systems, HVAC systems. We could just expand the loops and tap in to what we already had there. Looking at how our capacity has increased over time, it's kind of linear because we're building the same thing over and over again. But in the near future, we've seen that we're going to actually reach the physical limits of our building and not be able to build any more clean rooms. One thing we've done recently, as I mentioned earlier, was to relocate our R&D function to a new building, and this has given us extra space in our current building to expand. This leads me on nicely to our new facility. The guidance we were given was to build a state-of-the-art facility, which will be the world's largest living cell manufacturing plant in the world. Absolutely dream project for the engineering team. Imagination soaring with all the opportunities that presented itself. And then we were presented with the budget. And that's when we engineered our imagination back down to earth, as they say. At this point, it's really important to understand what the drivers are for the new facility and which opportunities you want to cherry pick and go forward with. And here's just a highlight of what we came up with. Firstly, unit cost. Operational efficiencies, there's an opportunity there to optimize those. When you organically grow from the middle of a building out to the sides of a building, your personnel and material flows may not be as optimum as you'd wish them to be. So here, with a blank canvas, you really have an opportunity to put in good stuff like unidirectional flows. Facility overheads is an interesting one. This really speaks to utilities, HVAC systems, running clean rooms. This is interesting because it presents itself as a significant number on financial statements, and it tends to just grow over the years. So anything we can do to reduce the utilities we're using, put our utilities room close to where they're being used, utilising the new technologies is going to help our profitability over time. Economies of scale, how can we make more for less? This is where automation comes in for us, and I'll speak about that later. And finally, process and quality improvements, reducing scrap, taking out waste. The second driver is capacity. As I said, we're reaching the physical limits of our current building. Two interesting points here is how can we build out a 100,000 square foot facility but still be flexible to adapt to any market demands? And the second thing to consider is how can we make our factory flexible? We may need to introduce new products in the future or change products that we're planning to manufacture when we first open the facility. The final driver is globalization. Every market has its own regulatory bodies and their own rules. And what can we do on the infrastructure side so that we can penetrate new markets without significantly disrupting our current manufacturing operations? This is what the team came up with: a state-of-the-art production facility, 275 Dam Road, 100,000 square foot building, and the second-story mechanical penthouse. In terms of unit costs, as I mentioned before, we've optimized our personnel and material flows. We've also optimized our clean room footprint. Class 100 clean rooms are very costly to run just due to the amount of air that you have to put through them. And we've managed to make this footprint a lot smaller and also to improve our processes so that we can actually operate them in a lower grade clean room. We're going to have a semi-automated core followed by a fully automated expansion, and I'll talk about the economies of scale there later. And finally, we've implemented state-of-the-art manufacturing, maintenance, and quality control capabilities. An example being continuous particle monitoring for viables and non-viables on the quality side. And from the maintenance system, we're looking at predictive maintenance rather than preventative maintenance. In terms of capacity, we've chosen a prefabricated modular cleanroom design, which means we can bolt on modules as the market demand grows. This is not just the cleanroom walls and doors, this is also how you segregate your utilities and your pipework and your HVAC systems, so you can bolt on as needed. We're planning on a phased build to meet demand, and we also have modular control systems and maintenance platforms. The facility is going to be geared towards the FDA and EU markets to start with, but these do cover a lot of the regulations for the other markets. I spoke about the phased rollout of our facility, and phase one was the infrastructure. We acquired 275 Down Road, which was a call centre, and the challenge was to change that into a GMP facility. So the first thing we did was demolish it. We demolished everything except the walls. If I had my time again, I'd demolish everything, including the walls. It's a little bit of an awkward shape to fit everything in. And then we built first floor steel, which supports all our pipework. Second floor steel, which supports our mechanical penthouse. We put in a roof, built our penthouse, which will house our HVAC equipment. And just as the clouds were rolling in, we managed to be watertight and put our roof on. One thing to comment on the mechanical penthouse is we're actually adjacent to a residential area. So we've got to be very aware of the noise regulations and things like this, and you can imagine big fans on the roof do produce quite a lot of noise. The second phase is really inside the building, and this is how we've laid out the building. We're going to have 10 semi-automated production suites. For semi-automation, Organogenesis, we've designed and built our own semi-automated machines where the operators will place the product on the machine. The machine will take it into a HEPA-filtered enclosure, separate from the person, the operator. It takes the lid off our product, aspirates the media and dispenses new media, puts the lid back on, and then pushes it back out to the operator. So these are our FDA-approved semi-automated machines, which we're going to start with in the new facility. Moving down, we've got state-of-the-art quality control labs. It's going to house rapid detection methods, such as BACT, and we have our support functions, such as collagen, cell culture, and glassware cleaning operations. Those are located right next to the utility room because they are our most intensive utility users, and in that way we've really reduced our piping runs. Finally, at the top, we have our packaging and shipping areas. Phase 3 of the build-out will be our expansion into the open space with our fully automated process. Our fully automated process is going to enable us to reduce contamination risk and increase quality. We produce a living cell therapy, and our main risk is from our people. So putting a barrier between our people and the product is key for us to produce high-quality products. We're using a restricted access barrier to separate our people and product, and we're using a transfer robot, effectively a 3-axis robot, to convey our product so people will never have to touch it. The robot will remove our product from the incubators, place it onto a robotic processing station where it will open the lid, aspirate and dispense, close the lid, put it back into the incubator. As the previous speaker alluded to, the cost really is in the disposables and the making of the media, and the operator's responsibilities are really to press go and go to lunch or have a cup of tea, I guess. We'll find something for them to do. Another benefit that this brings to us is that we can increase our throughput and reduce our costs. We're able to now handle a double lot size because we've removed the person from the equation, but we were able to process at the same rate as the semi-automation. When the team were designing the robotics, we were also very aware that grade A space is expensive to run, so we've compressed the automation as much as we can, and we've actually managed to halve the grade A space that we need for the process. In terms of the automation strategy, it was important for us to control capital investment and build automation platforms. In the semi-automated suites in phase 2 of our build-out, batch records are still manually filled in. Non-critical building data is routed through a building control system, and it will allow us to have real-time monitoring of fans and valves in the facility. In terms of critical data, so the temperatures, humidities, pressures in your room and in your incubators, this is routed through a process control system where we can archive the data and look back at trends, but it also gives us real-time monitoring of critical equipment, so we can spot anything that's trending out of specification. When we move over to the full automation, we really didn't want to have to rip this system out and start again. So we selected a system that we could build upon. We are going to bolt on a manufacturing execution system which will push down electronic work instructions to a computer screen or HMI to the operators and push data back up to the system about the product. We'll be able to monitor the process real time, and also the data from the robotics will autofill batch records. The benefits of the manufacturing execution system really are that we can push electronic works instructions down to the operator, a little bit like a wizard on your computer. And there's less reliance on the operator remembering the SOPs. It's very efficient in trending data. We can course correct very quickly, and it's an excellent tool for continuous improvement. In terms of the electronic batch records and real-time process monitoring, we're able now to review batch records by exception. Instead of having to leaf through page of batch records and sign and initial every data line, this is done for you, and the computer will produce any exceptions to that. Very, very efficient for the quality department. We'll have process data for every single unit. We'll know how much media was aspirated, how much media was dispensed, the temperature of the room, the time, the date, anything you wish to know. And we're able to put together key performance indicators for predictive maintenance. How many strokes does this valve do before it needs maintenance? And we can be ahead of the game in that respect and reduce downtime. The final phase of the automation strategy is to bolt on an ERP system, enterprise resource planning system, so we can integrate the manufacturing control system with other business systems. This will allow us to have a central system for globalization, and we can integrate QC, accounting, finance, and supply chain systems into one. We'll also be able to access full audit trails very, very quickly. So to summarize, some of the challenges and considerations we have been through during this process. For us, everything starts with the process. Understanding the process, the critical quality attributes, the critical process parameters, your failure modes analysis, doing risk assessments, very in step with the FDA presentation this morning, identifying high-value areas to implement in the new facility. This is really the core and the starting point for us in building the new facility. Moving on to the facility itself, we spoke about the infrastructure and how it's important to think about that because it presents a very large number on the financial statements. That also drives the layouts, and we need to consider the layout and the optimized materials and process flows. The final thing we looked at, which I haven't mentioned, is actually we looked at the expansion potential of this building. And we've acquired the land next to 275 Dam Road, so in the future we can actually expand into this space as well. In terms of the automation, one of the key considerations was the flexibility of the robotics versus the cost. The controls platforms that we were going to start with so that we could build onto them. And the final one was, how do we translate the human subtleties that have been used to generate our product over the past few decades into definitive finite statements that a robot would understand. And together, bringing this all together, we hope to deliver a state-of-the-art facility for living cell therapies. So thank you for your time. I'm happy to take any questions.